Hey guys, welcome back to Real Estate Informed, the channel that keeps you up to date on all things real estate. My name is Kevin, and today we got a really important article today about San Francisco and how they got a ban on evictions permanently. Okay, so let's get into the article. The article is from The Real Deal. The article's title is Real Estate Groups Challenge San Francisco's Permanent Ban on Coronavirus-Related Evictions. Okay, so a little bit of background on this. San Francisco put in a ban that any eviction related to the pandemic that started in March is permanently. You cannot evict those tenants permanently. What does that mean? That means that 6 months from now, if a landlord takes someone to court over rent for, March, April, May, June, and the tenant can show that they had a financial hardship due to the pandemic, you cannot evict that tenant. And so that makes a lot of landlords angry. Goes a little bit more into detail here. The lawsuit was filed by the San Francisco Apartment Association, San Francisco Association of Realtors, the Coalition for Better Housing, and the Small Property Owners of San Francisco Institute. That's a lot of, associations and basically landlords, anyone who owns land or apartments, and are part of an association. They sued the city for this. And it just happened recently. It's just a couple of days ago. And so my thoughts on it are, I would say that, both, you got to think of it as a tenant and you also got to think of it as a landlord and as an investor. As a tenant, I think is great. I think it sends out the wrong message that, hey, we're in the pandemic, you don't have to pay your rent. And, if you don't pay your rent, it's fine, they can't kick you out. That's the message that it sends, which I'm not okay with. I think that there's a lot, obviously there's huge associations, the San Francisco Association of Realtors. I mean, these are huge associations, but I think truly who it really hurts are the mom and pop landlords. I think the landlords that got a fourplex, the landlords that have, maybe a duplex, that's all they have, or maybe, whatever. And so they got a mortgage on that duplex. They pay maybe the common area electricity, maybe they pay the water, maybe there's only one water line going to both units, so they got to keep the water running. And so if one or both of those tenants stop paying, and you can't evict them, and they don't have enough money like these associations do to sue the city, that's where they hurt. And so that's where, there's a huge gap in this country with, the poor and the rich and then the middle class. And that's what really hurts is big business, get bailouts. Small business do not, and I understand that there was a lot of programs, the PPI program, the EIDL program, which they stopped like 2 weeks into it, and they first said that you were going to get $10,000, then they said you're only going to get $1,000. Basically, I feel like you're squishing the middle class, and the middle class is small business, and so when you get into a situation like this, it's just sad. It's just I think that ultimately when laws like this are put into place, the mom and pops can't afford their mortgage. They're going to go into foreclosure. And I'm not saying this is going to be immediate. I think it's going to happen within 6 months to a year. I think they're going to hold on as far as that they can. But when you place laws like this, things like this happen, and big business can sue, and big business can, the Association of Realtors, San Francisco Apartment Owners Association. I mean, these people own thousands and thousands and thousands of units. They can sue, they can get around it, but mom and pops can't. And and these associations, these large, who own thousands and thousands of units, they can hold on a lot longer than a mom and pop can. And so when you dive into this, I would say is that as a tenant, if you can pay your bill, pay it. And I also understand that there are critical times. I mean, there's a lot of people on the 600 federal unemployment, which is due to end July 31st. After that, if they don't extend it, I mean, there's going to be a lot of, people, not being able to pay their rent, not being able to pay their mortgage. And that's when it's really going to see the effects. But even then, I feel like it's going to take 3 months after that. To me, this is just a classic scenario of, the government saying that they're taking care of small business, but they're really not. And I understand the government's intent. San Francisco's intent is to, look out for the people that, we're in a pandemic and you have mass evictions. It doesn't look good for the city. So the city's trying to protect the people. But in the process of trying to protect the people against big business, such as, Association of Realtors and these huge corporations that own thousands and thousands of units, you're squishing the mom and pops in the middle. And that's a big problem. And I think some people just don't see that. And when you see people who own maybe 1 or 2 duplexes, and that was their retirement plan, and you see them get squished in between, that's the worst. I probably shouldn't say this, but I think that if you live in an apartment unit that's owned by one of these major corporations, if you can't pay your rent, you can't pay your rent, but if you can, I think you should. But especially if you are renting from a mom and pop and you're renting from a mom and pop, talk to them, try to work out a payment plan, communicate with your landlord. It doesn't always have to be this. I think the media puts out that there's this huge thing between landlords and owners, that there's a rift between them and they hate each other. That's not true. You can always talk to your tenants, and landlords, especially if you're a mom and pop landlord, reach out to your tenants, email them, call them, reach out and try to figure this out, because you guys are both going to get through it together. There's no way you're going to do this by yourself. And so that would be my opinion, is like, if you're a tenant and you're renting from a mom and pop, if you could pay your rent, pay it. If you can't work something out, please just don't stop paying rent and avoid your landlord, because especially if he's a mom and pop landlord, they're going through struggles too. And so you should always reach out and get through this together. That's my video for today. If you guys have comments or questions on anything real estate related, leave them in the comments below. Thumbs this video up. Please subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next video. All right, thanks guys. Bye.